Shalom. This is Root Source, Israeli Jews teaching Christians worldwide. Learn deeper, reach higher. This is Instant Biblical Hebrew. I am your instructor, Seth Young. Welcome. Today we are going to take a small detour to learn some vocabulary. And in this particular course, I usually don't teach vocabulary, except as it comes up in the biblical text. But in the biblical texts that we're learning. But in this case, I would like to learn some vocabulary on its own for two reasons. First of all, it's very useful vocabulary. And second, it will come in handy later when we learn some grammar, some verb conjugations. It will make it easier for you to learn the conjugations because of a trick I'll show you when we get that far. In the meantime, there's my background if you're interested. Okay, so let's get started with the pronouns. Pronouns are these things: I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. And in Hebrew, as always, there's going to be a differentiation between masculine and feminine. However, there's actually a shortcut here because I and we, we'll see, are the same for masculine and feminine. However, when we conjugate verbs, for example, even if we say I, it still has to go according to the masculine and feminine. If I'm a male, then I'm going to have to conjugate the verb in the male way. But if it's female, I'm going to have to conjugate in the female way some of the time. So here's actually a shortcut where we don't differentiate so much between number and gender. It's hidden. It's there, but it won't actually have any practical significance sometimes. That's a little bit unusual in Hebrew. That said, we do have more differentiation in Hebrew for the pronouns than we do in English, so let's get started. The first one, ani. I means ani. And I'm going to show you some tricks as we go here. So first I will discuss the words with you, and then I'll teach you the tricks, or, well, we'll see how it comes out. You. Now there's 4 different U's in Hebrew. In English there used to be 2. Singular and plural. Thee and thou. Thou, I think, was singular, and thee was plural. Hope I got that right. My Shakespearean English is not that good. I think that's it. Thee and thou. I think those are the 2. And they somehow got shortened to you, all of them. But in Hebrew, there's still 4. So there's the masculine, which is ata, the feminine, which is at. That's you when I'm talking to a male, you when I'm talking to a female. And again, this could be anything. I could be talking to a door, right? I could be talking to an animal. I could be talking to the universe at large. It doesn't matter. If it's masculine, I'll say ata. Feminine, I'll say at. Everything has to have a gender. All right, now in the plural, atem and aten. I'm already ready to start giving you some tricks. Hopefully you can see that all 4 of these start with at. Here, there's nothing after it. All at. Okay, so the second person is at. In fact, something you'll remember, the taf. We'll see this in the verbs. Comes into play in the second person. So in the first person, it's an, and then an and an. And the second person, it's at, with a different ending. let's leave it at that. Now, the interesting thing here, and it's interesting in a not good way, is that it's backwards. Here, usually the masculine has what we would usually call a feminine ending. Usually they have the ending, so if no ending is masculine singular, and then we start adding endings for feminine or plural and so on. Here it's backwards. Sorry. Nothing you can do about that. That's just the way it is. So, ata, remember, it's not you feminine, it's actually you masculine. Right? At, you feminine. Now, here's another funny switch. Who means he, and he means she. So he, you have to remember, it's switch, right? He, it would be nice if he meant he, but it doesn't mean she. Okay, so I'm going to give you our first trick of the day. This I learned when I was first starting to relearn Hebrew in the 1980s as a young adult. And my Hebrew teacher taught me as follows. Ani, that's ani, is me. It really means I, but you'll see why we need to say me. Ani is me. Right, so the first word is the Hebrew. The second word is the English. And me, the word me in Hebrew means who. Like, who am I? W-H-O. Alright, so we take the English and we go to the Hebrew. The me in English, which is really I, but okay, you'll see, becomes me in Hebrew, which is who. Who, W-H-O. But who in Hebrew means he in English. And he in Hebrew means she. And then the last little fine point is that we say when I want a girl, I say boy. When you tell a girl to come to you, say boi. It comes out fast, boy. It sounds like saying if you say to a girl boy, then she's supposed to come to you. That's a command form of the word come when I'm talking to a female. You, feminine, come is boi, which comes out fast, boy. So the little trick is, ani is me, and me is who, and who is he, and he is she, and when I want a girl, I say boy. So try to remember that. There's also a nice Abbott and Costello routine, as it were, like the whole who's on first. If you know that, if you're old enough to know that, they have the equivalent with this whole ani is me, is who, and who is he, and so on. So ani is me, and me is who, and who is he, and he is she. And when I want a girl, I say boy. So practice saying that, and you already got a bunch of Hebrew words of great import. But in the meantime, let's continue here. So he is she, and here it says it also. There's no it in Hebrew. It does not exist. There's no word for it. Because it means there's no gender. Every Hebrew word must have a gender. So if it's a masculine inanimate object, it's the same who as if I'm talking to my friend John. And the same thing if it's feminine, it's the same he as if I'm talking to my friend Betty. So I assume in the Israeli mindset there is no concept of inanimate, and they don't have an it. It's just she's and he's. Okay? So that's the singular, and the plural, we already did it. We looked at this. We is anachnu. In the nice Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, it's anu. In modern Hebrew, they only use anachnu. But in biblical Hebrew, they probably use anu more often. So anu and anachnu, they're similar, so this guy is a chet in here. I don't know what the point would be for that, but you see, ani is the feminine, is the singular. It's got a yud ending. The yud usually shows up in verbs in the singular. The u usually shows up in verbs in the plural. That'll hopefully make it easier for you to remember the verbs. Maybe if you can remember that now, then it might make it easier to remember this also. Now here we go. A tem and a ten. You can see that these are clearly the same word, just with a different ending. you can remember that the masculine ending is, for plural, is im. So if this was a team, that'd be easy to remember, but it's a tem. The other one is the nun for feminine. So this is masculine and this is feminine. You can think of that a ten, because there's no difference except for the ending. That's easy enough. Just remember that this is masculine and this is feminine. Or, you know, if you're talking, you can get it wrong. And the other person might get insulted, but I remember I was talking to an older woman and she was referring to me. She was talking to me and she kept saying to me, at. I was like, can't you see I'm a guy? But she was an immigrant, a French immigrant, and she was having trouble with her conjugations. I had a French friend who told me once that it's true that in French they have also masculine and feminine, but it's not the same. So a word which is feminine in French might be masculine in Hebrew. So the concept is the same, but they still have to remember which is masculine and feminine, just like people like us who are English speakers who don't have masculine and feminine for every word like they do in other languages. So anyway, that said, let's move on to they. Simply heim and hein. Again, the same word. This is the masculine and this is the feminine. And you see that the mem and the nun here, again, repeated here. Here it's masculine. Here it's feminine. Masculine and feminine. I'll make it easier for you to remember. And here again, the hey is indicating the third person, or it's consistent. So even though you have here 10 different things to remember, there's tricks to move from one to the next. First person is an, with some kind of ending. Second person is at, and third person is hey. And furthermore, the u is plural sometimes. We'll see that much more in the verbs though. And the mem and nun from masculine and feminine endings for these four. So those are really easy words to know, and of course extremely useful. These will get used all the time in any kind of Hebrew that you're going to be getting involved with. So you might want to print this out and memorize these words. They will be coming in handy for you all the time. That concludes our lesson. This is Root Source Instant Biblical Hebrew with the vocabulary lesson on pronouns. I am your dedicated teacher, Seth Young, and I'm happy to help you with questions. You can contact me here at seth@rootsource.com. Thanks for being with me, and until we meet again, I wish you shalom.